Welcome, human resource and OD professionals. Today we are continuing our series on how to have a productive performance conversation when the performance isn't what it needs to be. In previous videos, we defined what a performance issue is. Today we begin with a little bit of a review where we talk about how you word it, again, a crucial skill. And then we focus on how you start the conversation, and you need to start it off on a positive note. By the way, this is not the same thing as the crap sandwich where you start off with a compliment and then you tell them what you really need to tell them and then you finish with something fluffy at the end. But you still need to start it off positive. We'll discuss that in today's video. Please stay tuned at the end for a special message. Now, let's get started. To do a bit of a quick review, just so that we're all on the same page, we did start off by giving definition to performance issues. What is a performance issue? We're made it deliberately inclusive, very broad. It's anything that's supposed to be happening that's not happening, or anything that is happening that's not supposed to be happening. We're fine with it talking about it in terms of results that aren't what they should be or behaviors that aren't what they should be. Either way, that works. The key point, though, is that it must violate a clear, known standard or expectation that has been previously communicated. So that was the first step. Of course, we gave you two pictures to talk about it. The first is not necessarily a performance issue because we don't know if that sleeping there is laziness on the job, or if it's in fact that the person's just taking a break and it's entirely okay. The second picture, however, does violate a known expectation. We're never supposed to have yellow stripes on the back of a possum. Now, that being said, last time, in the last one, I talked to you about how you actually go about wording these. Gave you a pointer that it needed to be observational in tone and not judgmental. It needed to describe the performance that's actually violating the standard and do so in a way that the standard is implied or clear. So gave you some examples of good ones, gave you some examples of poor ones, and invited you at the end of the last video to reword your performance issue. Now, I've captured some of these, slightly different wording, up here on the flip chart. Coupled to note, because I wanted to talk one or two more issues about it. So we've got a few down here. Juan's documentation is incomplete. Juan's documentation is not always accurate. And I added Brent complains about issues after the meeting that he failed to raise in the meeting. A couple of points that I wanted to raise here. Juan, wow, he really seems to be screwing up. Well, why don't we just combine all of this together and have one performance conversation? And my advice to you is do not do that. You make it difficult for the person to hear and focus and for you to stay focused if you combine multiple performance issues into the same conversation. Instead, break them apart. Those are two deviations in performance that you don't want to have. And then from there, address the one that is most significant now. You can come back to the other one later. I included this last one. Brent complains about issues after the meeting that he failed to raise in the meeting. Some people would fail, or not fail, that's wrong wording. Some people wouldn't even say this is a performance issue. Yes, it gripes them, but I'm not going to talk about it. Well, if it gripes you and behaviors like this bring down your team morale, why wouldn't you talk about it? Make sure, though, that you explain to your team beforehand, hey, on our team, we always speak openly in meetings. We don't wait and converse about it afterwards. We say what needs to be said in the meeting. And if that's known and understood, then at a later point, if it's not happening, it is now a performance issue that you can thoroughly address. So Now let's actually walk through the performance conversation process itself. It is a 6-step process. Start positive, state the performance issue, understand their perspective, review the standard, ask for a solution, and get commitment. So let's start from the top. We suggest that in fact you begin with the positive. So start positive. This can be a recent success that they've enjoyed, irrespective of the particular issue that they're having. It can be some other productive behavior that we would like to see them repeat. So for example, Juan's documentation is incomplete. However, he is always timely when he turns it in. So I might begin this by saying something about, hey, I appreciate you turning in your reports in a timely fashion. Whatever you say, however, must be sincere. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? Why do we want to start positive? Well, we want to frame this in a way that opens their hearts and minds and ears for the conversation that we're going to have. I can already hear you saying, though, what about this? I disagree. Won't this just come across as schmoozing? Well, try these on for size and see if this sounds schmoozy to you. So, for example, Jane, you're an important part of the team, but your scrap rate is too high. John, a lot is riding on your work. Jody, our success is dependent on how we work together, and you've got a lot of say in that. Now, as you can tell from my tone, I don't think that came across as schmoozy. It came across as real. Now, I'm assuming that with all of these statements, what I chose, I said the first part is it's got to be sincere. I'm assuming that's why you're having the conversation with them in the first place, is because they are important. A lot is riding on their work. You need their involvement. You need their performance to improve. Here's what I'm not saying. It says start positive. It does not say start with a compliment. I am not buttering them up. This is not the proverbial crap sandwich, right? Where you compliment them, then you tell them what you don't like, and then you compliment them at the end. That's bogus. People can see that and smell that a mile off. This is simply recognizing that if I want to get their full engagement here, it shouldn't come across as a smackdown. And if I will simply frame it within their value as a team member, then they will be open and ready to hear what I have to say. Thanks for watching today's video. And here's the announcement that I mentioned on the front end. I want you to use this and any other part of this series in whatever way you can to develop the leaders in your organization. And here's how I can support you in doing that. First of all, feel free to show it to them. And if you'd like, let's you and I dialogue. Reach out to me through this video here in the in the comment section below. And let's start a dialogue, and I can help you develop some discussion questions from these videos to really cement the learning as people go through it. That's option one. Option two, I can work with you personally in a train the facilitator capacity to develop your skills to deliver this as a discrete module to really get your people growing well. What's the advantage there? You know your organization in ways that I don't. So I can help you get the content down while you take it then to your people in ways that are contextually relevant. And the third way, of course, if you'd like me to come and deliver this within your organization, please reach out. I'd be happy to do so. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next week.